Just because marriage looked like this for your parents, it does not have to look like this for you. You can have and change your definition of what marriage means to you. And marriage can mean sweet, deep, loving, sexy, amazing, committed, loyal energy where you get to have it. Because if you believe that relationship and commitment and marriage means suppression and depression and all these things, that's what you're gonna get. Preparing to be a wife at 25. And why me, as a successful multi-high six-figure entrepreneur, business owner, boss, babe, also is preparing to be a wife, and why I truly believe it is essential to also prepare to be a wife, and that you can achieve so much in this world, and that we need to celebrate the fact that us as these beautiful goddess ladies out here, that we can have rights. We are free to exist, especially if you're in the West. We can make money, we can make our own decisions, but that also doesn't mean that we have to forget the beauty of marriage and committed relationships and some of the mindsets and principles of the wife and from the religions that we come from and that this society is built off of. And even though I am not a religious person, I do have some religious principles or spiritual principles that I believe in and I relate to and that I appreciate about the religion that I was brought up in. I don't take everything with it, but I take what resonates and I leave the rest. And most importantly for me, it is my connection with God. But I say all that to say, today we're going to be talking about why I am choosing to prepare to be a wife and why preparation is important. And it's something that we never talk about in this society, especially if you're in the West, but it's really, really essential to do, especially if you do want to be in a committed, loving relationship and marriage. So let's talk about this. I didn't always grow up with the mindset that I wanted to be a wife. I grew up with the mindset, I'm a Black woman in society. So a lot of the times we grew up with the programming of you need to be successful or you have to work 10 times as hard to be able to achieve anything in this life, and you need to create wealth for your family. I am an only child, right? And my parents, they worked really hard to get to where they are, and they started off really poor and then they grew into this massive wealth. And I saw the transition between what it looks like to not have much and what it looks like to have a lot and to have everything. I've seen what it felt like, and I've been in the experience of being provided for by my dad. My dad is a full-on provider for my mom and even other people in my family. That's the reality that I live in, and that's the reality that I come from. But I understand and honor the fact that even though I grew up and I saw going from 0 to 100, like I lived through going from family didn't really have much to family having everything through time, I acknowledge that it's easier for me to relate to that and to see that as a possibility in my life. But I want to share my story so that I can also give you guys a different perspective than just the classic, as a woman, succeed, get a bunch of degrees, get a bunch of money, and live. Who cares? Have sex with everybody. Doesn't matter. I don't think that for at least women who resonate with me, I don't believe that that's our path. I think what feminism did was it empowered us to be able to make sovereign choices, but that doesn't mean that sometimes the choices that we make don't have certain spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical consequences. And I think this is where I differ with religion. Religion would say that certain things are a sin. Don't do it, it's bad for you. Don't do it, you're gonna go to hell. But what I say is certain principles and ways of being that, whether you call them more conservative or not, whatever the case is, are really beneficial to me as an individual. I decided to prepare to be a wife at 25 right about now because I realized that I am in my best window for having the best partner that I want, and for an understanding of I do want to have children one day, I do want to have a family one day, and I do want to be able to honor this cycle of life that I'm in. This is not to say that if you are not a young woman in your 20s that you will not be able to get married, but if you also just take it with a grain of salt, study the data, study evolutionary history and DNA. If I want to have kids, the best opportunity that I have is definitely in my mid-20s to late 20s and maybe early 30s. And then at a certain point, your body does begin to start to change. For the average woman in the West, your body starts to change and you start becoming less and less fertile. So preparation means I am preparing myself on mental, physical, and emotional level to receive my king, to receive my divine union, to be in alignment with my husband. Because I know that for me, since my childhood was not perfect, there's certain inner workings that I have to do, certain things that I need to release, certain parts of myself that are not in alignment with receiving and being able to receive my husband. Hey, I gotta release some of those things. And that's the first key of the inner work. No one teaches us how to prepare to be a wife anymore. This was something that we used to get taught, like certain things. And also the taboo subject of embracing traditional feminine roles, right? And I've been thinking in my own way, my own journey, like what feminine roles traditionally do I like and that I enjoy? And I've been really rediscovering some of my passions that I've forgotten about when I was a kid. I really do enjoy cooking. I really do enjoy cleaning my space, especially when I add my spiritual cleansing proponents to it as well, like with a little sage and Palo Santo and other things. I do enjoy being the best version of myself, and also incorporating my looks into that and wanting to look my best, not just for another, but also for me, so that I can feel comfortable in my own skin. Redefining what my style looks like, redefining with how I want to express myself and what my truth is, because I found back in the day, I would say years ago, I would dress and put myself out there in this way where it wasn't too bad. Let me be real, it wasn't too bad, but I was doing it for attention. I was doing it to show my body and to be sexy because I wanted attention from men. And then I went on this journey of realizing that I am enough as I am, and I don't have to share everything in order to be enough. I am enough as I am. I don't need to put everything on display, because sometimes attention is great, but what attention do we seek? I have a friend who wants to be loved so badly and wants to be in a healthy, committed relationship. But if you go on her Instagram, and I'm not shaming her, but if you go on her Instagram right now, it looks like she's signing up to be an OnlyFans model. And then she continuously attracts men who only see her for her body, who only see her for how she looks, like her body and everything she has on display, as basically a sexual object and not a full being. And I know that's incredibly triggering to say, but that's what I've been acknowledging as well in myself. There is a part of me that was, let's be real, super like, oh, let me put myself out there. Let me just say, hey, this is me, world. Look at how hot and sexy I am. And I still have that. But I elevated it to a place of more class, more elegance, because I know that the certain attention that I want, even though regardless men could feel some type of way about me, I'm going to give myself the best shot to be valued for my beauty and aesthetics and elegance by presenting myself that way. And that was one of my first layers of inner work, of understanding how I present myself, by understanding that I do want to go to the gym, that I do want to take care of my physical body as well as my spiritual body, and that I do want to embrace my looks, and that I do want to look my best, and that is a part of like spirituality, like especially as Venusian spirituality. Beauty is spirituality, because everything that is beautiful is divine. Just when you go into a temple, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous, the architecture is perfectly made. I am art, and I want to express myself as art, and I also want to express myself and advertise myself from the lens of who it is that I want to attract. So I had to go through my Instagram, clearing out old pictures and archiving old things, but I truly at the same time love the fact and embrace my own, I'm gonna just say it, my own inner slut. I love her. I appreciate her. I'm thankful for her that she had that time to just be her and to express whatever. And that doesn't mean like I was sleeping with everybody and anybody, but just to have that version of myself who wanted to honor her sexuality in that way. I love her. But now the mature 25 version of myself says I can be in alignment with my sexuality, and at the same time, I can express it within myself and hold it within myself, and also hold my conservatism and my elegance and my class. The second part of my inner work is rearranging my beliefs around marriage. I work with a lot of clients who want to be married, and I've gotten people in relationships, helped them get beautiful things and stuff like that. One thing I always hear again and again when working with clients is, I don't want to feel tied down. I don't want to feel stuck. I don't want to feel this and that when they think of marriage. However, they only think that way because we grew up either not seeing healthy relationships or seeing relationships that were there but they weren't satisfying, and they didn't do the inner work, and they weren't going deeper within each other and within themselves individually. But I think the gift of this 2020 era is that we get to do the inner work and to be these conscious, divine, spiritual, more alive beings, but at the same time be able to embrace the warm traditions of where we come from and our bloodline and of our religions and spiritual practices. We get to merge it together. I tell clients now, just because marriage looked like this for your parents, it does not have to look like this for you. You can have and change your definition of what marriage means to you. And marriage can mean sweet, deep, loving, sexy, amazing, committed, loyal energy where you get to have it. Because if you believe that relationship and commitment and marriage means suppression and depression and all these things, that's what you're gonna get. But if you learn how to reframe the beliefs and do the inner work and the subconscious work that we do all the time in my club, in my communities, in my paid programs, and just in general in coaching sessions, you can embrace like, oh wait, this does not have to be true for me. And literally the moment I've done that, I'm attracting men who want to marry me. Like, these men who are eligible bachelors are like, and it's just like a lot right now. So I'm actually, I'm thinking about it. I'm in that place where I'm like choosing and thinking about all that, and it's developing. The next thing that I had to work on, and that I've been working on ever since I've been early 24 and 25 now, regret, guilt, shame, and just this crying out for my past. This deep pain and grief for my past and all that I've been through. I'm just gonna put it out there. If I could go back in time, I would have chosen to wait before I had sex. I would have chosen not to do sex before marriage. I would have chosen to honor my sexuality within myself and to embrace it in different ways, like dancing, connecting with my body, self-pleasure, energetic sex, and all the things. I would embrace my sexuality to the highest degree within me, but I would have really been a lot more selective with who it was that I shared my womb and my body with, where I did not feel safe. And even though it wasn't that many times, my brain and my womb became so confused for a little bit. We grew up in hookup culture. We grew up in casual sex culture, which normalizes these behaviors. But for me, that was not my truth. And if I can go back in time, I would say to myself, hey, you are a goddess. You are worthy. A guy should be proving to you that he can provide for you, that he's actually into you 100%, so much so that he would commit his life to you, that he wants to give the best and treat you the best. That's the guy that you share your body with, the guy who proves that. And I remember teachings with my mom. She was doing the best that she could do with the information, right? She would say things to, don't do this, or like, why are you dressed like that, or whatever the case is. She would tell me things like that, but she never explained to me why. She only said, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. But she never said the rest and the whole part to me, which was, hey, Jalen, Don't do this because this is not going to honor you. That man only deserves you if he is willing to prove that he can provide, that he can protect, and that he can love you endlessly, and that he wants to be able to make sure you feel safe, calm, and comfortable, and that by you putting yourself out there sexually, you're gonna expose yourself to STDs, pregnancy, and all these things. So he better be able to at least provide something for you. She never told me that. My mom never told me that specifically. She never said, Jalen, you are valuable. I grew up only hearing, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. So what does the kid do? The kid wants to rebel. And I had a little rebellion in me. But if I were to go back in time, I would tell her there are spiritual ramifications for sleeping with people. And for me, safety looks like commitment, marriage, connection, somebody truly providing and can provide for me. Once it really stuck, that's when I started to attract the guys who, oh yeah, of course, like I completely understand, I completely get it. Like, oh, we don't have to. I want to, obviously I'm attracted to you, but we don't have to, we can wait. They waited and they still want to commit and they still want to marry me. And I could only attract guys that, and these are not like slouches, these are big ballers. But that only happened when I accepted and let that sink into me. There's certain traditional ways of thinking and being that I rebelled against because I felt like they were only going to keep me trapped and stuck. But now, as I'm realizing and reflecting, I realize that they are here to protect me and to nourish me, and that the person that I want to attract them when I'm most likely to like pull them in. Not saying that if you're 30, 40, 50 that you cannot attract the kind of person. Bloom where you're planted is what my mentor says. People tell you in your 20s, just do a bunch of stuff, who cares? Just have sex with everyone and everything. But these have psychological ramifications. Have sex with everyone and everything, and the next thing you know, you're pregnant by a guy who doesn't even care about you like that. And that psychological damage that comes from that and baggage that comes from that. There's certain things that you can avoid if you become selective with who gets to enter your body. This is not foolproof, and marriage is not foolproof, but you are more likely to be in a healthy situation if you learn how to vet and to choose a proper partner and mate, and not just to select them, but to also be the woman who that person wants. That's the last truth. A lot of us want to be these people where we want the six figure earner, 6 foot, 6-inch plus kind of guy, right? But then we don't want to work on ourselves to be a natural reciprocal of that kind of guy. What does that kind of guy want, and how likely are you to attract this person? And you have to be honest with yourself. I had to be delulu, but I also had to be realistic. Right now, everybody wants the 6-figure guy and stuff like that, but there's only like 30% of him. Or like 20% of him compared to the large majority of what we have and all the women in the world. So not everybody's gonna get the 6-figure guy, but more people at least can get the guy who is a provider. And a provider simply means they want to protect you, they want to provide financially, they want to provide emotional support, they want to provide and be that stable rock in your life, and that you can build with that person. What I'm saying is I had to get in alignment and be truthful and honest and really look in the mirror and really see myself clearly and say, am I a match to what it is that I want to attract? And if I wasn't in certain aspects, what do I have to do to get better? And moving forward, really making the hard ass decisions, like I call it, right? The hard ass decisions where the old self will be like, oh my God, I want to date the guy who's not really treating me right and he's a bad boy and X, Y, and Z. I'm attracted to him. It's so tempting. The sugar is so tempting. But when you develop the ability to say no and to actually walk away and go towards health and go towards the guy who's really going to nourish you, and that does not mean he needs to be this boring person who, you can't have a spicy relationship with. No, you reframe that. But you choose the person who at first you may not also be initially attracted to because you've been so wounded. I had to let go of the sugar and get into the veggies and embrace veggies in every aspect. The thing that truly was going to nourish me. Not the quick fixes, not the breadcrumb guy, not the guy who wasn't fully going to nourish me, but the guy who was going to give me everything. Those are the only guys I entertain now. That's the last portion of this understanding that I've been going through and this transformation that I've been going through. Embracing veggies. And at first, even reframing my relationship with boring and boredom. In this society, everything needs to be quick and fast. Lots of excitement all the time or something's wrong. I had to start embracing the Taurian side of me, which is slow down. Go with the flow. Embrace the calm. Get used to the simple things in life and honoring that. And I'm gonna always have my Sag rising that loves adventure and loves all the fire. I'm a super fiery person. But my moon, which is Taurus, is saying embrace the simple things in life and the simple pleasures in life and the simple times in life. The brain can be so addicted to drama and so addicted to toxicity. And I had to let that go and let that side of myself go to embrace what it feels like to truly accept a guy loving me and being there for me and being open and opening up my field to that. And understanding the reality of an 80-year-long marriage might not always look like shits and giggles every single day. Real shit happens. But at the end of the day, real shit happens. And also, there's life. You're with somebody for the rest of your life. Of course, there's going to be moments of, this is like kind of boring. But in those moments, it is an invitation to go deeper in you so you can go deeper in that partnership. Studying the most successful relationships, novelty. And bringing novelty in the relationship and bringing new experiences, new things, right? New things that you try together, new places that you go together. Also adding in touch and a lot of touch and cuddles and kisses and great sex and embracing great sex and learning how to have great sex. Even without a partner, I've been learning how to have great sex. Even better, the sexual relationship really starts with the relationship you have with your own sex and your own womb and your own body and your own energy, right? I've been doing things intentionally, like dance and movement and sensuality. I went to a sacred sexuality retreat and I'm actually getting trained in Tantra right now, so as a certification. I've been embracing these things and like loving it for myself so that I can have the most delicious, juicy, romantic relationship and attract that towards me. But I'm also taking control of the things that are in my control and also embracing and normalizing the fact that, yeah, sometimes things could be boring. I don't have to be afraid of boring. And boring doesn't have to mean I need to throw away my relationship and marriage. Sometimes it means it's an invitation to dive deeper. At the same time, a problem doesn't have to mean I have to get a divorce or throw away my relationship. I really have been developing the mindset of growth and improvement and understanding that if I were to go through something in my relationship, I got committed. I'm going to stick to it and I'm going to stick with it. Period. The last and final thing is completely releasing the no boyfriend lifestyle. I would hear this logically all the time. Like, don't do boyfriends. My mentors would teach me, don't do boyfriends. Never be somebody's girlfriend. I didn't really own it until I was like 25. It didn't really fully, I'll be honest, it didn't really fully sink in. I can say probably without a doubt, I will never be a girlfriend ever again. I am dating for marriage. I'm going to be rotational dating until I decide to marry or allow one of the guys that want to marry me until I get married with them. I think the girlfriend-boyfriend thing comes from a fear of commitment. And when we're just accepting boyfriend-girlfriend, we get to play being a wife and play being a husband, but it don't actually be like that. And I think it causes us to not fully learn how to vet and not fully learn how to do the inner work and to not fully learn what our standards are, because we can like try on relationships without actually committing and being a part of it and doing it. I used to think that, oh, no guy is ever gonna like. Girl, please. The moment that I let that sink in, I only attract guys who are like, oh, no worries, I understand. Like, I get it. I completely get it. I see what you mean. Whatever. I don't even have to explain that much. I'm in my 20s. I'm my baddest. I'm my most beautiful, stereotypically. I am my most fertile that I'm ever going to be. You best believe I'm going to put less energy on my career and all that stuff because I already set up my life in a way where I have money coming in and I'm flowing and I still do work that fills me up and that is feminine. I love it. I believe women should be entrepreneurs because we get to choose our own lifestyle. But at the same time, I'm not going to sacrifice love and marriage and commitment and my feminine energy for constant grind of hitting the next 7 figures, hitting the next 8 figures. If I'm gonna make 7 or 8 figures, it's gonna come from an aligned, divine, feminine place with a little structure and masculine energy, but it's not gonna come from me sacrificing my feminine energy and my love and marriage and all that stuff and wasting my most fertile, beautiful window to attract the best partner. No. And that's my truth right now. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know this video is hella long, but this was just my take on preparing to be a wife and why I'm choosing that for myself at this beautiful, what I believe to be the best time of my life to do it. 25, to start to learn how to cook, to start to learn how to clean, to start dancing and being more in tune with my body, to start embracing my sexuality in my privacy in my own home, and to really tap into my elegance and my class and the way that I carry myself, and knowing how to honor my boundaries and to only follow and to allow what is a hell yes only into my body. And it feels amazing. Comment down below if whatever you feel about this video, if you relate to me right now, if you also want to go on this journey. I'm going to be talking more and more about these topics, and I talk already about these topics on my paid community, Rich Goddess Club, with classes and courses that allow you to learn these things. I would highly recommend also checking out my dating course, because I went from dating brokies to dating men who are 6, 7, 8, 9, even 9-figure business owners, okay? And it feels amazing. So if you really want to invest in yourself, which you should, I would highly recommend those courses. I'll list them down below. Book a session with me if you also want to do this kind of work, because it is spiritual, it is deep, it is mental, it is emotional work, but it's so great and I feel so good and I'm so glad, and I'm just like so happy that with all the things that I've been doing, all the clients I've been serving, they've been getting amazing results. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you later, because bitch, I've been talking so much on this video, but bye.